I call Gareth Hughes.
I rise to speak on the taxation annual rates for 2015-16 research and development and remedial matters bill. Mr Speaker, as members are no doubt aware, it's a very large bill that deals with things such as the black hole investment, tax pooling, working for families, tax credits, grace period for deregistered charities, a great deal of matters that deal with tax. Now, members in this House and people across the country know the importance that tax plays in our economy, both for the provision of essential services, but also as economic signals. Now, Mr Speaker, I want to touch on a point raised by the last member, Jamie Lee Ross. Now, Jamie Lee Ross talked about the role of innovation, research and science. Now, what the member didn't raise was how woefully inadequate we are when it comes to supporting innovation, research, science and technology in New Zealand. Mr Speaker, we're in the bottom half of the developed world for the amount New Zealanders spend on innovation, on the practical science. When it comes to patents, we patent 4 times less than the average developed nation. Mr Speaker, there's a limit to how we can grow our economy when it comes to cramming cows on paddocks with grass. There is a limit. We're seeing it in our paddocks and streams, but there is no limit to the amount of technology, intellectual property, services, new companies, entrepreneurs starting up new companies. There's no limit to the amount of services we could be exporting around the world via internet cables or selling the intellectual property. That's the future for New Zealand, Mr Speaker, true innovation. And I congratulate some of the work that we're seeing with Callaghan when it comes to tax credits. But Mr Speaker, it's still a drop in the bucket and not competitive with our international peers. I want to see a country which supports innovation, that is near the top, that is producing more patents, that is getting richer off the back of it. Because ultimately what the Green Party stands for is a richer New Zealand. Now, Mr Speaker, in Select Committee today, I just want to tell a brief anecdote when it comes to GNS, Geological and Nuclear Sciences. This is a company which invests a great deal of taxpayers' money in finding oil, but they also have a lot of geothermal energy expertise. This is an amazing growth area around the world. It's a true success story how New Zealand is exporting some of the geothermal tax credit based on the innovation developed in Wairiki in New Zealand in the 50s. But guess how many patents this Crown research entity achieved last year, Mr Speaker? 2. 2 patents. We can do much better as a country, as Crown research institutes and businesses if we have the right tax incentives. This is why one of the big debates in the sector is whether we should be doing the growth grants, as Minister Joyce splashes his largesse across the country, or whether we should be supporting research and development tax credits. Now, tax credits, you could argue, are fairer. You could argue it takes out the politicisation of a particular group of people or people appointed by a minister picking who the winners are. Again, another anecdote from Select Committee today. We heard from Callaghan that they had given more than $670,000 to Trans-Tasman Resources, a majority foreign-owned company with a former Prime Minister as a board member. They were given $670,000 from Callaghan to attempt to mine the iron sands in Maui's dolphin and blue whale habitat and feeding grounds. $670,000 of taxpayers' money for a company who couldn't even get a consent under National's Environmental Protection Authority. Mr Speaker, while we're talking about tax, research and development matters, let's make sure we're looking to the future in terms of the global trends, in terms of clean energy, IT, innovation, science. It's not about looking to the past when we talk about mining, cramming more cows on paddocks. Mr Speaker, we will never compete with Uruguay or China to cram more cows on our paddocks and trash our environment faster. We will not compete with Australia to dig more holes. We can compete on our strengths, which is our knowledge, our education, our niches, as Sir Paul Callaghan said, our innovation. This is our future, Mr Speaker, one based on innovation, and the Green Party is proud to have produced many positive, pragmatic policy solutions, and will continue to champion that as we debate tax, research and development and other matters. Kia ora.
Speaker.
I call Richard Prosser.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.